Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Today is Tuesday, January 30th, 2018. Time is now 6 p.m. I call the meeting to order. If we'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now take a roll beginning on my right.
Commissioner Champagne.
Ben Bell, Secretary.
Webb J. Chairman.
Commissioner Bailey.
Commissioner Rodney Woods.
All right. We'll now take board action or for the approval of the minutes from the meeting on December 19th. Do we have any board discussion?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if there aren't any comments or questions, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting for December 19th, 2017.
All right. Do we have a second or any comments?
The only thing that came to mind when I read this was I just saw where it just said that Commissioner Champagne has some questions on frequency of reasons for voided checks, and this what caught my attention. It just stated the questions were answered. It didn't say what the answers were, and it just kind of caught my attention. That's all.
Well, I told, what I answered was that in some cases they're duplicates. In some cases, we had a situation where, for one reason or another, one of the landlords would say he didn't want to get it by direct deposit, and we would end up writing actual check, but then he would get it by direct deposit, and we'd have two checks out there being void. There are other instances where we paid something and it's the wrong amount, but generally speaking, we try to minimize those. Generally speaking, we try to minimize those problems and reduce them as much as possible. But
But shouldn't it be like at least a summary of what your answer was written in the minutes, right?
I guess I didn't put it there, but I'll try and make them more concise going forward. I try to paraphrase things, but I'll try to.
Yeah, paraphrasing is good, but we just want to make sure we have the actual answer in there so that, it's noted that what the answer was, whether how short or how we want to paraphrase it.
Yes,
Just
sir.
would like to have the answer in it.
All right, and I'd like to ask for amendment to the minutes as well regarding the 5 points on the last page.
Yes, sir.
Point number 3, arrange to have staff section heads for the HCVP, tenancy and maintenance attend next board meeting. The actual statement was staff present at meetings starting in January. So this will not be a one-time thing, but
Maybe it's the way it's worded, but I didn't think it was one time.
okay.
I
I just,
I'll change the word.
all right. So based on those amendments, do we now have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Chairman, I'd like to pass a motion to approve the minutes for last meeting as amended.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bailey. Do we have a second?
I second it.
And a second by Commissioner Champagne. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right, and I don't see Lieutenant Oob here this evening for the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Bell, you said there was...
Normally, what I try to do is call him and remind him. I didn't do it today. I just got it.
Okay.
But I will say, in the area of what he would have reported, we've had two incidents. at Harnville, we had what one might call a major altercation. And from that, some people were residents, some were not residents, and the police were called. Police reports were done. Of the people who were involved in the incident, one was in the eviction process anyway for something else, and the eviction will be, the eviction process, meaning they go to court, will be held on the 2nd of February. One of the other people, the others have been given notices and like a reprimand about unauthorized live-ins with them. They arrested a couple of them and they let them go. Nobody was seriously hurt. I think there was some damage to property, vehicles, broken windows, and et cetera. Generally speaking, a couple of the people were well known by the police, but all in all, it was handled quickly by the police, and we are doing what we need to do to ensure that those people will not do it again.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is financials. We're now seeking approval of the September and October 2017 low rent and HCVP expense reports.
Mr. Chairman, prior to asking for approvals, the fee account is here. One of the things that I know I was asked questions about a couple of times, specifically from, I think, Commissioner Woods and possibly you, I think, about why we have revised budgets at a meeting and then come back the next meeting with another revision. This is the final budget, unaudited. The September budget is the very final one for that year. The October changed because September's changed. And I have the fee account here in case there's any question that we couldn't answer that you want to answer.
All right. If you want to come forward, and then we'll just allow the board to, if you want to state your name.
Okay, I'm Russell Ricotta Jr. I'm the fee accountant for St. Charles Parish Housing Authority.
All right. Thank you for coming this evening.
For being here.
Well, Mr. Woods?
Well, it was quite interesting to be able to compare the ending September and beginning October and look at the big picture and then starting out. So September, low rent.
Okay.
Page 5. Just a couple of several questions. Operating revenues. 760.2. I can see it says 12-month ended budget. We didn't expect any grants in, and we got 149.5. That's what came to my brain was like, where did that come from?
That's actually a receivable that we had set up. If you look on page 1, or I'm sorry, page 2, we set up a receivable from HUD for Capital Fund 2017 revenue that we're going to apply for the fiscal year ending September 17th.
Which number is that on page 2?
I have page 2, but it's the one, it's account number 1220, accounts receivable HUD. I look on page 2 because that has the account numbers on it.
Under asset.
You see it? Under assets. Yeah, current assets. That 149 is part of the 186.
Okay.
And since then, we received a the difference between the two. In October, I think we actually got that 30-something thousand, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, right, back to on page 5 where we were.
Okay.
So late charges there, was that late charges tenants are paying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I should say, Commissioner, they are very much down now. They are way down. People are paying rent on time.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. I've got more. Just out of looking at numbers again, that's all. I'm just
Sure.
following numbers here. That's all we get to see, numbers in black and white. Administrative salaries, I see in 2017, we budgeted 162.8. We actually paid 161.7. And if we go over to October, 12 months ended in 18, we're up to 174.
Yes, because we did the new budget year starts October 1st for the
Then-
fiscal year
And
2018.
my question was, what, we getting raises? I'm just curious, I see it went up from 162.8 to 174. So
Oh, with the difference, well, I don't have the budget, let's see.
You're in October, right?
yes, if it's a 12-month ended October, so we're expecting to pay 174, and we did 162 last year.
Yeah, let's see. Yep, in 2018, and I'm looking at the,
I think part of it is the reason for part of it was upon hiring certain people.
right,
We did not hire them at the full amount until they made until they made 3 months. At 3 months, we gave them increases. That would have only affected 3 people, and that increased the budget by a little. We didn't hire anybody new,
Okay.
but
So the 3 people that you're talking about, at what point were they hired? They were hired in 20,
one was hired in March, let me correct that. I
think
think
it's
two,
April.
two were hired in March and one before then.
so,
They're hired on with, and they get,
They're hired with
but
an
they're
under-
budgeted with an expected, but they're gonna get an increase.
When I do the contract of the agreement, it's not a contract, it's an agreement because they're salaried employees.
Right.
I tell them, if you work out, they want a certain amount of money. Well, I don't pay that until we find out that they can really do the job. If they can do the job, then after so many months, we pay that. While that's going on, they don't get other things too, like benefits. They get the benefits after the 3 months, and then a small salary increase. 2 of the people got an increase after 3 months, and they would get another increase, I think, after 6 months, and that would be it.
And that's standard, because I mean, I understand, I know what a lot of companies, I know that the benefits don't usually kick in.
Well, it's
as a
standard
period,
if you
but-
want somebody and you want to pay them, but you don't have a good feeling of whether they can do the job yet. And so that you don't get way out of line, you're trying to compete with where they came from and give them something close to it, but you may not be able to match exactly what they were making. So it's a negotiated thing, and sometimes, it was just the same thing when we.
so you said you hired them in March of 2017. So this is essentially, for lack of a better way of putting it, a proration of their salary for the 2017, and the number on the budget for 2018 is the full year.
correct. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's a good way of putting it.
Okay. Good, I'm just working.
And let me make a mention too, the prior to that, we had contractors in place, and
That
as
was
those,
that's my
those
next
left,
question.
those contracts were up, we were able to justify bringing in the full-time employees after the time. So you could kind of look at the budget and see where contract costs have gone down
From
for admin.
15,000 to
Right.
1,500.
So that kind of offsets it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any,
Yeah, I have more.
okay,
I have more. I'm just curious. Just on page 6.
In September?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Page 6, utilities expense, 9320, 9321. Those charges are just what we pay for our public areas.
I could probably help you a little. One of the things I've been saying is that we knew that the cost of our utilities were escalated, and we knew it was due to what we thought was poor conservation as well as breaks. What we found was that it was serious water breaks, but we could not locate them all. So we began to do it systematically, and as we did it, we thought, the amounts would reduce, and it's beginning to happen. But in this last month, because of the cold, the difference in temperature and the weather, we had some serious pipe breaks. And the kind of pipe breaks that happened, for example, the last one that I sent everybody information on, that pipe has been there since they built the site, and it's about a 1.5 foot difference from being the parish's property and our property. So the parish quickly told us it was ours. Excuse me, but they did come out and try to help me shore it up so our contractors could go in and fix it. We found that that is probably the single most reason that our water bill is so high. And because it was gushing, but we never knew it because it was under the ground. Once they dug, you could see it just spurting under the ground.
Then I'm gonna take it that the tenants, we pay water and sewer and they pay their own electricity?
Yes.
Okay, that's why the numbers are that high. Okay. On page 7, general expenses, 9615. Auto insurance. I'm seeing where we budgeted what it says 1,700 and we ended up paying 6,500.
Let me see something. I want to look at,
I'm in
Section
September.
8.
Auto insurance did go up,
Yeah,
but I don't know why it's that big of a difference in what's on the paper unless it refers to putting it down for one vehicle and we actually have 3. It could have been.
well, in actuality, one of the reasons why, when I close out the books for the year, one of the things I look at is insurance, prepaid insurance, accrued compensated absences, receivables, payables. So these financial statements are on an accrual basis, which means that those expenses that were paid, some of them should have been set up as a prepaid maybe from prior year and then expensed out, on a monthly basis. And that's basically what I do, is if you notice, the insurances every month are about the same. And that's just a journal entry that's made every month, and at the end of the year, we adjust it to actual. So that's what I'm thinking that is.
I just caught my, again,
Yeah.
I just look at numbers in black and white. It just kind of caught my attention that we budgeted 1,700 and we actually paid almost 7,000. That was kind of a big difference.
regardless of how it's entered, whether it's on a cash basis or on a accrual basis, our budget should reflect what our cost is, and this is a huge, this is 283% increase in what was budgeted for insurance. I mean, there's no explanation for that, other than we entered it one way and.
I mean, I don't look at the insurance policies and look at the deductibles. I'm just recording what was paid.
Mr. Bell, do you have any?
And what gets me too is that in October, we look at the budget, we still at the 1720 again. And I'm expecting we're gonna actually spend almost 70,000.
I honestly think that it's, based on the discussion we've held here tonight, I think it's an error. And we should have budgeted more. I'm not saying you made an error. I'm saying we should have budgeted more than we did. But I can tell you what the actual insurance costs are, because we have 2 trucks and a sedan. We only use them for work, and they are about the same in terms of the actual amounts we pay on each vehicle. And because we have to put the insurance, pay the insurance for everyone, the entire staff, it goes up yearly, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
They're older vehicles, also.
Again, when I get this, all I see is numbers in black and white, and I try to think what you're thinking and how did you come up with those numbers. And when I can't figure how we get from 17 to 6, I just ask questions.
My black and white guy, can I go?
Yes.
All right.
The actual expense for
Russell.
for that is that was 7,000 for the total entity for housing choice and low rent. It was 7,000, about $7,200 for a year. So if you look at the low rent, that's a 65 portion. I was looking at Section 8, and Section 8, I believe.
Okay, let's move on to the bigger picture. Russell?
Yes,
Can we move on?
sure.
Okay. Here's my thing. It's January 30th, okay? We're still looking at numbers from September 30th of last year, okay? To me, that's a big problem. Why are we so far behind?
Well,
And we don't get reports on time? Meaning, since we are looking at reports, we're looking back at reports, shouldn't you think that we should get them like sooner, more in advance? You see what I'm saying?
Well,
So that we can be able to look at these things, because right now, I just did a brief, I noticed that he's the numbers guy, he's looking, point to point, but, I've seen this before, and I'm gonna read it again. I see that when we go to operating, what we actually budget for, and a lot of these lines, it seems like we have a different variance. Let's see, because we budget for, let's say for administrative expenses,
what you looking
we're
at?
outstanding, right? General expenses, we're way outstanding, correct? Extraordinary expenses, whatever that means, if you don't mind explaining, I mean, that's 19%.
Which month are you looking at now?
I'm looking at September.
September?
And I see these expenses, and I also see that, I've questioned this before, that we have a due from HCV program. So it seems that we're taking money from one program and putting it into another program, correct?
What we're doing is we're paying the salaries out of the low rent program, and we're getting reimbursed from the Section 8 program.
Now, I have a question that, are we really supposed to be doing that?
yes.
Yes, so we're taking from one program and keeping another one afloat.
No,
We're not
no.
taking from the program.
Are we
We're
borrowing?
getting reimbursed.
Well,
We're
these people-
reimbursing.
We're reimbursing. That's what that due to, due from is.
I think what needs to be said here is that a couple of the people work only for Section 8.
Yeah.
Like, Ms. Livingston is a Section 8 person, Courtney Jackson is a Section 8 person. We
Okay.
pay for them out of Section 8 monies.
We pay for them out of Section 8 monies, but
But from a accounting point of view, what he does is we write the check in low rent, and then we reimburse ourselves at the end of that month.
Of that month,
You
yeah.
write a check and you reimburse.
So that we don't have, because we have two accounts in the bank, and
What's our actual ending balance
For,
for the statement in question last year, September 30th, 2017?
For the
Where
low
are we
rent
standing
program?
as an agency? Mr. Ricotta, you should know that. Where do we stand as an agency? What's our ending number?
I have 4 different, I want to find out which one. You talk about the low rent program for the
All
one that was the
programs, every
unaudited.
program. What is there now?
10,000.
Is there a negative balance for the programs?
As of September 30th, it's 10,961.24. For
Negative?
September, no.
Positive.
For
So-
October, it was $6,040.49. Plus, we have something in Edward Jones, $46.57.
Edward Jones's investment.
His low investment account.
Where do we stand
For
as an
November, we had a negative 2210 in Capital One, and we had 4657 from Edward Jones
So we have a negative in our bank account.
as of November.
I think also what we're not saying is that we've been saying all along is that in Section 8, we have this, what we call a negative what is it?
Unrestricted net position.
Net position.
Have a
We've
negative-
had that for 2 years, almost 3. HUD is working with us to get that down, but there's no way to make that a positive number. We can only keep leasing up to bring that number down, and that's what we do. In terms of the way it's reported, the auditor has to report facts.
We're leasing up in in low rent?
Both, we
Both.
lease every day, every month. And
So when you say lease up, what is that
we
implying?
lease up in,
How much percentage?
that's what I'm getting ready to tell you. As we lease up in Section 8, we earn an administrative fee. And that helps us with our budget because that's money we can
So
use.
we lease up in Section 8, we take that money out of Section 8, and we, as an administrative, to pay for administration and low rent.
No, actually, you have discretion. You can use the administrative fee to pay for whatever you wish.
But we're using
You
it.
cannot use HAP contract money. You can't use money that's supposed to be used to pay for the program itself. We don't do that. Those are two different funding sources. In terms of you saying we lease up every day, we lease up every month. Every month we lose people in low rent. Every month we lease up in low rent. And
But when you say lease up, I look at our vacancy report and it's not reflecting a positive or what we should
Well,
be
if
as
you-
being leased up.
okay, I gave you a vacancy report that HUD has given us. We have 2 units that have been out for a while that are being leased up this week, or actually Monday. We have 1 unit that was leased today. We have,
And then next time we look at it, it's going to show that we have
I'm
how
trying
many.
to explain where
No,
we
but
are
I'm
right
explaining
now.
what we keep seeing.
Okay,
You understand?
and
You understand?
I want to say why we keep seeing it. I have a young lady who left public housing. She leaves on the 31st tomorrow. She goes to Section 8. That unit becomes vacant. I'll lease up 1 in Section 8, but I'm losing 1 in low rent. So I got another vacancy. I'll have 30 days or less to get that, put that back online. So if you go to the vacancy list that I provided, I gave you the same thing that HUD has seen. And it only comes out at the end of the month, and that's why I wrote at the bottom of it.
Now, you say 30 days, we see a lot of these are way over 30 days.
The ones that you should have seen constantly that we've been talking about going back is 254. That's been out for almost 4 or 5 months. It had major mildew problems, had major other kinds of problems. The contractor who put it back online had 5 units to do. The other 4 were done. This one has been long-standing, and we've gone back and forth with him. Because of the issue with this particular unit and with this contractor, everything that we've done since that has had penalty clauses in it. However,
What do you mean penalty clause?
if they don't have them done by a certain time on the contract,
So the console,
Then they
since
have to
he's
pay
taking
us.
184 days to turn the unit around, it's supposed to be done in 30 days, and he's okay sitting with this unit working on this
He's not-
unit,
we've been trying
and
to,
he's paying, you honoring these penalties, because that's a long time.
no, I did not have the penalties, and that's what I'm saying. Since that, every contract we've issued other contracts since this one. He had a contract to put 5 units back online, he put 4 online, that 5th one hung out there. And that is why we now have penalty charges, but we don't have anybody staying out there that long anymore. They have, usually I give them 60 days, and they usually get it done in less. For example, the contract that we had a discussion on 2 weeks ago,
So
2
it's
months ago.
So what is the requirement, though? Is it 60 days or is it 30?
It's what we put in the contract, and normally I put 60.
Well, what,
There's no HUD requirement. They want them back up
30 days?
in 30 days, yeah. They want them
So
back.
isn't it best to follow what HUD wants as much
Yeah,
as
but
possible?
I have to be as practical as possible. Some contractors won't take the job.
And is there a program to put them on if they're that bad that HUD can assist us with? And do
we
we
have-
follow those guidelines?
We have begun to do that particular one.
Just now begun to do that, or
We
we've
not
been doing
just
that?
now.
Mr. Bell, here on this report, we have units that are stating in this report from HUD, this is their printout,
Right.
vacant 284 days, current status.
That's the unit we're talking about.
Now, I'm a real estate guy, okay? I deal with landlords, I've managed property. If I have a property that I'm managing for a client that goes vacant, the property could be completely destroyed by the previous tenant. There could be pipe leaks, there could be broken windows. My job is to hire contractors, maintenance personnel, whoever I've got at my disposal, to get that property fixed, back on the market, and rented in 30 days, because my landlord is losing money. And in the same token, you're going on a year on this property, a half a year on this one, 2 months on another. You've got another one that's 2 months, and you're saying it's because of deficiencies in the property?
I'm saying that some of these properties were really bad, but there was no justification for the unit 254 being out as long as it has.
Not just 254, understand?
Well, I'm saying 254 is the one I can recall now, but give me another number and I'll tell you what that one was.
It doesn't matter the number, it's the principle, is these units,
If the
we could-
units, I try to get all the units turned around in 30 days or less. That's my goal.
Okay.
That's the goal that I'm trying to put in contracts. As I said to you, I put in the last 2 contracts, 30 plus half of that, so about 45 days. The contract that you approved, I think, 2 meetings ago, the guy's turning the units over Friday. We did the walkthrough 2 days ago. It was 95% complete. We have the residents, and I have the names down there, when they'll move in and who they are. Typically, up until about, I would say, 4 months ago, we would only have 1 to 2 units vacant. But because of the turnover in Section 8, people going to Section 8, we were given a lot of units at once, which meant that I had to go out on contract and get them.
Let me stop you one more time.
Okay.
All right, you just said up until about two months ago?
I'm saying for what part of my,
What you just said was, up until about 2 months ago, we had 1, maybe 2 units that would go
Well-
past 2 months, and yet every one of these units, less one, has been vacant for more than 2 months.
and here's nothing that gets me. while these units are taking so long to get done, I mean, you would expect the contractor to be doing some beautiful work, great work. But our scores are low when it comes to, when HUD comes out and does an inspection, we are still presenting substandard
Well, in fairness.
housing environments, and we're scoring low.
In fairness to me, some of the units that
I
are listed down.
understand that you were not there when that happened.
No, I definitely wouldn't use that as an excuse. What I'm saying is some of the units down at the bottom, I have just put them down at the bottom, and I have RFP written. They just became vacant. If you go up above that, I have 79, which is above it, and in the above column, and it's vacant, and it was 40 days. So we did lease it up as fast as we could. We turned it around. The staff turned it around. That's the one with Vivian Scott. She went in on January 4th.
So this one's 40 days, and the staff turned that one around, so our maintenance staff was the one that went in and did this one.
Yeah, but it depends. I
Was there
don't want you to
anything
think
wrong with the unit?
There's always something wrong with it, but they're not always as bad. If they have mildew, if they have parts of the unit that have to be totally replaced, we have to do two things. I have to purchase the equipment, which I don't always have the funds for. I'm trying to get the funds, but what we don't know is the unexpected problems that we have on the site. For example, when 254 went online today, we go out there, we turn it on the water, then we got another pipe break. We didn't have it before the cold snap. We got a pipe break because it had frozen in certain places. So we're fixing that now. I mean, these are unexpected things that happen.
I
and
can
units-
appreciate that the unexpected happened. I can
Right.
appreciate that repairs will go over budget and that we're an agency that it doesn't always have the funds available for certain things. What I cannot appreciate is that I know that I can build a house from the ground up in 180 days or less. And I can go into any apartment that I've managed or any home that I've managed and have it not only vacated by a previous tenant, destroyed by a previous tenant, and then rehabbed and put back on the market and leased within 30 to 60 days. And we have properties here that are sitting for not 180 days, which is 6 months, but approaching 300 days, which is,
I
With
think.
the outside
I think
contractor
I'm
that's
not going to
been-
disagree that it's totally unacceptable to have units such as 254 and the other unit there. But because of that, and we've had this discussion, I think I've used that same unit as an example. And in learning from that, I put penalty clauses in that. We don't have that problem now. The units that are being turned around, like the two that are going to be turned around Friday, is being done quickly because of those kind of situations and put it in there. But it's still, that's one of the best contractors out here, and it still has taken him more than 30 days to get the units up because they're in bad shape.
That's a good thing. Since he is one of the best contractors out here, I would like to, we should
If
take
he's
some
one of the
time
best
and go and
contractors
see
out
that
here,
work. But not only that, but
best
taking that much
contractors
time.
out here should be done in 30 days.
Well, I agree.
Not unless he's leaving the property, going to another site. And that's what's taking so long. Because he's not at the property doing what he's supposed to be
Well,
doing
this
He's somewhere
particular-
else.
this-
So maybe it should be mandated or put in the
Contract.
contract or something that he's only to work on this, and if they can't agree to it, then you
He
get
can't
another
agree to move the
contractor.
units around when we need him to move the units around. He got to go. I mean, that's unacceptable.
I'm not trying to justify it taking this long. What I am saying is that we've had this discussion at this board, at this meeting about 2 months ago, and I told you I was gonna put things in place to see that it doesn't happen like that anymore. And you were the one who told me it was unacceptable to get these units turned around faster, and I've done that. I can't go back, no.
Unacceptable to get the units
No,
turned around
it was
faster.
taking too long to put them back online. That's what you said. I don't know if that was your exact words, but.
well, it is taking too long.
Well,
Yeah, that's
and
the-
I'm-
that's the problem.
And I'm saying, as a result of that, I made these changes to make the time much shorter. And as Commissioner Bellard just said, maybe that's something I need to add in a contract too, that they can only work on that unit and that unit alone. But what I also am trying to do is to say to you, we have other maintenance things going on at the same time, and I am also trying not to end up in a court situation with these guys if it appears that, like in this case, I did not have a penalty clause. Going forward, that is not a problem, because I do have penalty clauses in the contract.
All right, so back
Russell,
to
Russell.
the budget.
So
Yes, sir.
where we stand,
That's for low rent
remember we in a
program.
negative. Negative in low rent, where we at in section 8?
Section 8, we had 34,439.83. Section 8.
Is that negative?
No, it's positive.
Okay, so we negative 8,000, low rent.
No, negative. If you net the two, because we have money in Edward Jones, we're about 2,000 negative. But we have a receivable from HUD that we're waiting on,
What is this
149. That's what we were talking about earlier.
That's
for
the
capital
February
fund.
receivable? That's for February?
No, that's the capital fund.
Fine.
Okay, so that's
So
November.
we're waiting, when we
That's
get
November,
those funds, I
right.
don't,
But since November all the way to now, I don't know if you've done the numbers, but that
I have
balance
December's.
has probably been, is larger by now, right?
I don't have it in front of me. I didn't know.
We have December, with December,
I have
December shows
December's.
how much?
I don't know. I have to pull it up and see. I really don't know. I didn't send December's because there were so many financials. I was talking to Mr. Bell. He said, we'll just get that
Okay,
for
the
next
problem
time.
that the board is having, we've made some concessions in order to make our review of these documents easier. But the problem that we're having is that we get a report generally the Friday before a Tuesday meeting. Now, our board information that we receive
It's a lot of information.
on a Friday, going into a weekend when we all have our day jobs, is
You
this
agree,
thick,
right? It's a
sir.
lot of information.
A lot of
A
information.
Friday before a Tuesday meeting.
Yeah.
And there is no possible way, apart from me just stopping the rest of my life, my other job that actually pays my bills, and going through this line by line and figuring out what is actually in these reports. And so the board then said what we would do is that we would then get the budgets presented to us 1 month in advance of approval, which didn't really solve the problem because now we're going back and we're having revisions of the report. It's not a true reflection of what it is. We're just delaying the time to approve it, but we were trying to accommodate the fact that you've been presenting our, yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to, I'm sorry. Which kind of begs the question, we're getting a report, but it's not the true report. And yet it's January, and now we're looking at that same report.
I didn't want to
If you-
give a September 30th report because I wasn't finished with the end of the year adjustments.
Not to mention
I have
that-
until December the 15th to get those
Missed
done,
the registry, we missed the date to submit it.
which was not
We lost a point.
our fault because the system was down, and I already
Lost a
talked to them.
point. So if the
Well,
system was
it's-
down, we still lose a point?
Yeah, but you could go back, I talked to our financial analyst, and we could go back and ask for abatement of that because it was due to circumstances beyond our control. The system was down had it been up, it would have been submitted on time.
And on time, you mean on the day that, the exact day that it was due?
Prior to that, we had, I don't know about here, but in Hammond, we had 6 inches of snow. We had, electricity was out for almost a week, had no phone, no internet. We had a lot of issues that were happening in December.
But you see how this looked?
No, I'm just telling you. I mean, you
No,
want to
no.
know. I mean, I'm telling you because it would have
I'll tell you
been,
how it looks. It looks
know?
as if, like, these statements that we're getting, that something is being playing around, something is being changed. Like, You're taking a long time to present us with these reports. We've asked them over and over to be on time, and yet we're still looking at last year, the ending of last year, which had to be amended, which now is the 30th, which we should be looking at December. And then I found out we're in the negative. What stops the fee accountant for raising the attention of the board members and say, hey guys, look at the projector that we're going. Look where we're headed. We're now in the negative. I understand I give you these reports the weekend before and expect you to read through all of these with a full-time business or job. And I understand that this is a lot of information and it might not come clear to you, but I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what's going on with your agency.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, in all due respect to you, we had a discussion, and as Commissioner Webb so eloquently put it, we agreed that we were going to present it to you a month in advance, and then you would approve the previous month. But we also said, and I think I said, the recorders, I do record them, I have the recording, said that the numbers would change. And somebody on the board, and it may have been you, said, well, what good is it for us to approve these? And I said, well, you don't have to approve them. You have a month to review them. But if you have questions regarding any of this, send the questions by email during the month. And that was the whole purpose of this time, so that we could give you the answers that you needed.
Yeah.
Subsequent to that, we came back to the next meeting, and it was a year-end report, what we call the unaudited report that he had to do. And we told you at that time that we were going to go back and take some of those charges that we had charged to the low rent budget and try to more appropriately charge them off to capital funds so that we could recoup some of the monies that we had spent. And that would change the overall picture. That's what he did, and part of the reason why we have this revised budget. Had we not done it the way we did it, then we would not get any of that money back. And going forward, one of the problems that I've had, and I'm trying to deal with it now with HUD, is they take a long time to spread our money out and give us the monies we need to use to fix these major repairs. The kind of repairs that we have been having are not what you would see in your budget for the year. They would be more akin to extraordinary expenses. But we don't have the money. We have to pay for it from
Are
somewhere.
those repairs, and we've visited this before, so, are those repairs,
Foreseeable?
no. Are they just related to the unit? Or are they actually with infrastructure on the property or between properties? Is that on parish land? Or I'm assuming it's a combination of all of the above.
It's both in the units, and it's, for example, roofs. Once the roof starts leaking, we have problems in the unit. We have to go in the unit, and it doesn't matter whether it's a contractor or us. We have to redo the walls and that kind of thing. So to make sure that doesn't happen, we have to go do the roofs. Many of these roofs haven't been done for more than 20 years. So we're going in there now, and we don't have that problem now because we went back and we put on at least 4 or maybe 5 new roofs and patched even more. But that's the the type of thing that I'm talking about. When we did the stairwell situation, which we talked about here a couple of times, much of those funds came from regular maintenance. We could not pay for all of it out of what we call our capital fund budget.
All right. I just feel like we've been going in circles for a long time
Well,
on a lot of these.
the kind of questions you're asking me now are the kind of questions, that's why I told the fee accountant he needed to hear some of the questions that I'm being asked. So that he gets a feeling of what he needs to do in his reports. And we've asked before, we said, do you want to present it differently? And it sounds like from the questions I've been getting tonight from both Commissioner Bailey and Commissioner Woods and Commissioner Jay, maybe we need to present the budgets, the reports with more detail, more descriptive detail.
No, wait.
No, exact opposite,
Okay.
More detailed, no, we need the specific information that we need to know. You can provide the details, that's fine, but I want it out there in red writing that negative
Like a
2,000.
narrative, something like that, or?
This is
I
fluff.
guess the financials
This
speak
is
for
fluff.
themselves, but I just wanted to know how you
A
want it.
simple profit and loss, where are we at? I understand we're not a for-profit agency, but just understanding our
you
balance
could-
sheet
When
to understand.
that thing I gave you tonight, and it was where I gave her today with the budget, is that something that we could do?
Which one is?
And like, I'm glad you, because I specific questions as far as like,
I
this,
told you I
so,
sent it to her today, yeah.
the second month in our fiscal year, we are operating at a loss. I mean, can you explain why we're operating at a loss
If
in
I
the
gave
second
you
month?
something like that, would it make it easier?
Section 8,
Yeah, Section 8.
Section 8, November.
Would that kind of layout make it easier? One page, 2-page thing every month?
I think it would
Yeah, I
be
mean,
to a
with-
great benefit that if we saw where each program was, what, a 1 or 2 page to get an overview of what's going on. But beyond that, we need to be able to see this well in advance of a meeting where we have to then vote to approve it. It doesn't make sense for us to get a package of information and literally have one business day or less
Great.
to review, to comment, and to approve. That is absurd. In any field of business or government, in any other way, to be able to make some sense of a budget with the type of funds we're dealing with, and to make a decision in less than 24 hours.
What if, starting with this month, February, the new month coming up, we give you all the reports we have with the understanding that some of it's gonna be duplicate reports because we're basing it on the previous month. And we get everything that you're gonna have at the board meeting, we get it to you during the first week of the month. Board meeting's always on the last Tuesday.
So everything we need for the board meeting will be given to us on the first of the month.
Give them to you the first week of the month, with the understanding that up until a couple of months have passed, you won't have a complete month because February starts in a few days.
I just feel like you're giving us a load of crap.
Well, I can
To put it
understand you
bluntly.
feeling that way, and maybe because of that, because you say you feel that way, maybe what we need to do is change the kind of reports and not pay as much for this, and just get something real simple.
Mr.
Answering the
Ricardo,
questions here.
Yes, sir.
so we're operating at a loss in our second month? Is there, what's the reason behind that?
Well, first of all, we don't have our lease-up. The lease-up gets paid for admin fees for the Housing Choice Voucher Program based on the number of units as of the first of the month. But what HUD does is they give us a fixed amount, okay, during the year, and then every quarter, they go back and they do a reconciliation, and if we leased up more than what they projected, then they'll give us additional funds. Recently, we had an additional amount, I think like $5,600 as a reconciliation amount for the September 30th, and we got it like, I think it was in December. So, but if you look at the expenses,
Yeah, what's the one I had here noted was other admin expenses.
Where are you, sir?
On page 5, November, section 8,
number 5.
item line 9199. That wasn't budgeted for, I see.
Which one is it? 9199, other
9199.
expenses?
Any recollection,
I have to see
what
what
that
that
was,
is.
or is?
We should be able to flip back here and find it.
Yeah.
Again, you said page 5 in November, right? Are you in the low rent?
While the commissioners look for this information, I want to point out that the time right now is 6:56. This meeting is now approaching 1 hour, which I think is ridiculous, in all honesty. For any meeting,
Service charge,
to take this long, this should be
thanks.
a meeting that should probably last no more than 30 to 45 minutes at max on a busy night.
Sort it out.
And we're still literally on the most basic first part of our meeting dealing with financials. And I think that speaks, sir, to the frustration by which the board is experiencing when reviewing these budgets, because quite literally, we are often reviewing them for the very first time at these meetings because of the delay in which they are presented to the commissioners, who it is our job to review and to approve. And it's just unacceptable. So at this time, what I'd like to do is ask if there is a motion from the board to either approve, disapprove, or whatever y'all want to do at this point. So we can then move on to some other issues. And I don't know what to tell you except to tell you that there's got to be a solution. I cannot believe that across this country, let alone this state, that other housing authorities are struggling to have a budget that they can easily and readily approve in a timely manner and feel comfortable with their vote when doing so. When I came on board here 2 years ago, I think it's almost 2 years to the day, in fact, we were dealing with the same issues. And at one time, I believe, probably almost 20 months ago, I brought up at a meeting that I thought that the commissioners needed at least 14 days from receipt of a package to review it prior to a meeting. That was what we requested then. That is what we had continually requested until just a couple months ago when we were doing reports in arrears, because it never got accomplished. And when the board requests something, we want to see action on it. It's not just a suggestion. We are trying to do our job, and we are trying to approve the budget that is laid out to us. So, that being said, any further discussion from the board on the low rent and Section 8 expense reports from October 2017?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask one question?
Mr. Bell,
Would it be helpful if we,
can you speak up, please?
would it be helpful if we come up with a simpler document that will answer the kinds of questions that Commissioner Bailey asked? Meaning, what is the state of the agency in terms, financial state of the agency at a particular time on a particular date every month and at that same time? I mean, I'm not saying don't do this budget. I'm saying we can give you this, but it doesn't matter if you don't have it in a timely fashion. But if we can give you something during the first week or the second week, you say 14 days, in terms of the budget, I know I can produce everything else in that first week, and I can give it to you. The budget, it's up to the fee accountant, and we can give you something very brief to answer the questions he's asking, if that's what you want to see.
Of course it's what we want to see, because that is our job as a board.
Okay.
We need to see those numbers. All these numbers are fluff, but we need to know how our agency is doing without digging a hole in the ground just to find that one piece of nugget, because that's what it feels like we're doing. For him to tell me, for me, I had to ask him, how we stand as an agency and find out that it ain't good, that's unacceptable. We should know that because they'll put more fuel under the fire for us to take action and to make our housing authority better.
That's what we'll do.
Mr. Chair, if I might, I would just say that I know that I feel like I've just been chasing information for quite a while, and I think it's come to a head, and I'm expecting changes tonight. So on the strength of that, Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve September and October's low rent and housing choice vouchers financials as presented.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Woods. Do we have a second? All right, seeing, are you making a motion?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with it.
You can either make a motion or not.
The motion, does the motion need to happen for us to move forward?
No.
Okay, well, let's move forward.
All right, seeing no second, that fails. All right, and we have received tonight, Mr. Bell, the delivery of the November 2017 low rent and housing choice expense reports.
Yes, sir. It's just.
They're in our packet.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question then?
Yes.
Seeing that we haven't approved our financials as presented to us, what do we expect to change in this packet that is going to get us to approve our financials for September and October?
That's a good question.
I honestly don't know how to answer that. But at this time, myself, I know my feelings were, I don't feel comfortable seconding an approval of financials with
Maybe at the next board meeting, after we have
so
time
many
to review it,
questions.
let us review it, and then we're behind enough as it is. We could take another.
I think 14 days is reasonable, because that's what we get at the council. We get all our paperwork 14 days, 2 weeks before we ever come here for it. Everything.
I thank you for that, because that speaks to the fact that an entire parish can, and all their departments can get the information needed to the council in a timely manner. And we have one agency that, well, I think it speaks for itself at this point.
So,
Mr. Chairman, we're gonna have to do something, table it or whatever, because we were supposed to have an action on it tonight.
Okay,
so
the
we have
action was, according to Robert's rules, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, so we called for a motion. We did not get a second, therefore the motion fails.
so we didn't approve it, okay?
So we did not approve, the action was that it did not, it was not approved.
Okay. Question, one more, just one more.
Yes,
So
Mr.
then
Woods.
we're saying we're not approving, I understand your reasonings was to allow more time to understand it. So at next month's meeting, September and October will come to us and November will come to us also?
Well, they won't come to you because you have it. We don't.
Oh,
We have to approve it.
I mean to, as far as coming before the board
But-
again.
But the executive director can have them on the agenda to present to the board for approval for action.
September, October, and November.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
If you're not sure, Mr. Bell, exactly what they're looking for, exactly what we need, I suggest you give them a call while you're doing it to make sure when you show up here that you have exactly what they're looking for.
Well, I plan to call Commissioner Bailey because I want to see exactly the wording that he wants to see. I mean, I know what he said. I want to know the state of the agency. Is it in the negative or whatever? But the way we word it is going to be equally important because these documents are the same documents that the auditor looks at. So I need to make sure that we put the right thing on it. So I will, if I don't call, I'll email you and say, is this the suggested language that you can live with? And if you can't, just tell me what you would like to see in its place.
We'll work on it.
And to get to the chairman's frustration, and I understand it. As I said, I can get everything else in this package to you the first of the week. But that means that in February, it may be a little short because we're a couple of days from the beginning of February. But I'll get it to you.
I can appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Mr. Bell, can we go over your report to the board? And again, let's try and keep that concise, hit the bullet points, and let's do it in order of your statement.
What I'll do is, I've given you a copy tonight. I think I gave everybody a copy.
You gave me one
Accomplishments
a little while ago, and
Yes.
I'm not seeing it now. Thank you.
And
What is it?
And
Everyone else has one?
what I will do is try to go strictly down that report very quickly.
All right, thank you.
Under the HCVP program, we have the Housing Voucher Management System. The report was submitted on time to HUD. It's always around the 22nd of the month, and we got it in there. As I said earlier, we had a couple of problems this month. One was not a criminal problem, but it was in the Section 8 program. We had a major fire at 722 Paul Mallet with injuries. The property was inspected. It'll be re-inspected. It appears that the owner will probably either demolish it, at least that was the last discussion. She may keep it and try to do some other things. The person who was living there can get another voucher and seek a unit somewhere else as soon as they're well enough to do it. Under routine, we have information that we are continually putting together for the auditor. The auditor actually comes to the site in probably around April sometime to do the work on site. But prior to that, he gets information in hand through the mail. W-2s and 1099s were finalized today to be released on the 31st, tomorrow. The non-smoking warnings are in place. The implementation is going as planned. In terms of the non-smoking, the date is still July 3rd, I think, 2018, where it has to be in place, or HUD will step in. So we don't have a choice, and we've done everything that we were supposed to do, and it's on track. A resident meeting was held in Harnville. The meeting was well attended, but residents seem to have difficulties accepting why HUD has directed an increase in the flat rent due in April of 2018. Several people have called the office since that meeting, and what I've decided to do is to write a narrative and send it out to people to try to explain the details of it and how it's to be done. Somebody called as recently as this morning. It's not like we have a choice, but everybody does not understand it. As of January, we have a new Justice of the Peace. It's Darrell Shashsung, as opposed to Mr. Tassett. I've spoken to you about the on-site disturbance in Harnville. Under the maintenance activities, we continue to install hot water heaters and wall heaters, and that's a major expense amount. But we don't have any choice, and with the cold weather in place, many of the wall heaters went bad. Water leaks are continued and to be identified and repaired throughout the sites. And I have the next little spiel is on the the major water leak, which we've talked about several times here tonight in Booty, at Booty and Tenny Street. Unit turnaround, we've talked about that. And I understand the concerns of the board, and hopefully, not hopefully, we'll do what we can to speed that up. This pest extermination, we've had it, I actually have exterior here in 12129. It's supposed to be interior this month. And I am not sure the date, but it was in January. I'll put that back. We had the fire extinguishers recharged this month. It's an annual thing that has to be done every year, and we're on schedule with that. The young man that I told you who was an intern, found a full-time job, that's the whole purpose of what he was coming to do anyway. And his last day was Friday. We closed the office one day officially due to the weather and the parish and the state closing everything else. Submitted the EEO policy to the state, and we completed the annual business census government survey. The arrangements were made for the ID pictures. The Lead the Way training is scheduled for tomorrow at HUD. I've tried to put the files in one place using the portal on the website. It's not at all the way it will finally be, but it was a first step in getting everything in one place. And the most economical because we didn't have to pay any more money. I could have hired a service like Dropbox and put them all in Dropbox.
Going to the meeting tomorrow?
No, I couldn't make it.
And the last thing is, I said that the staff will now attend the board meetings as requested. And I do understand, even though I put it that way in the minutes, that they have to be here at every meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, do we have any discussion?
Just one question. This
Sure.
the first time I'm hearing of Justice of the Peace for Housing Court. Tell me a little bit. What's that about?
In the parish of St. Charles, as in some of the other parishes, we don't go to housing court here. We have justices of the peace. They get paid by the case. And we don't always have to use that particular justice. If he's unavailable, we can use any other justice. And the way when they get elected, they have certain districts.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that we had was Judge Tassett, Justice Tassett. He decided to retire, or partially retire. He's not doing our section of the area anymore.
So basically, just a quick understanding, that is, if there's a housing issue, we just go to a Justice of the Peace to settle it, is what you're saying?
Same one,
No, okay, that's all. All right.
yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Normally it's the one in your district, but if you don't have to go to that one in your district, you can
Gotcha.
go out of your district.
Yes. Okay. Just was curious as to how that works. All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bell. Any other discussion, comments? All right. Updates on various activities, that was all included in your board report, Mr. Bell?
There's
You have a separate line item here on the agenda for that.
There's one thing that I'm not even quite sure how to do it, but what I will say is that we've taken a long time, and rather than try to get into it tonight, because I'm going to present information to you next week, I will give you that also. And
Well,
it has to do with,
I mean, we're here. I mean, what is it?
we are mandated to pay a salary increase of about 2% to the employees. It's a low amount. Most of them get paid low anyway. And what I've done is put together what it will mean in terms of our staff and how much it will mean in terms of what they would get. And I have it on a spreadsheet that I can pass around to you.
Yeah.
I'll also put it in the package that I send to you with the documentation of why we have to do it and the state rationale for it.
And you're looking for board approval on this, or this is just something that's going to happen?
Well,
I mean,
nothing just happens. I mean, obviously, I need your approval when I do it, but I want to give you the kind of information. I didn't have this information at the last board meeting.
okay. So, I'm reviewing it, and,
I'm doing two things. One is, I think we budgeted for an increase, and the increase we budgeted for was a little more than 2%. I have who would get in the projected amounts of 2% to the extreme right and who would not get it. And if you look at the salaries, the hourlies that they have, it's not going to mean a whole lot for a lot of people, but it is meaningful.
well, it's something.
Yeah.
And Russell, that's correct, it's in the budget, the, okay.
I think we projected, Russell, if I'm not mistaken, about 4%, and we're doing 2%.
All right. Any comments or questions about that?
Is there a cost of living?
No,
Or
ma'am.
just- No,
It's just this. They don't
merit.
call it a cost of living.
merit then.
It's really not even merit. It's, I mean, the state believes they fought it and they lost, and so now they're saying we have to do it. And I have the documents, and what I'll do is put them in your next package to explain it more. So,
All right. We have a tabled resolution. Where is this? That's the administrative plan.
there are two resolutions. One is tabled, it's the one that I was told to keep it on there. The other one is a new resolution regarding legal services. And at the last board meeting, what I did was give you reasoning behind why I was presenting it to you. I put it in a resolution form, and also there, you don't have it there, but I put it on the portal, is his credentials, resume.
Okay. We have resolution number 18-01-30-53, authorizing approval of legal assistance for the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Do we have any board discussion?
So this is just approving that we bring him on as our attorney, but we're not discussing any particulars in this contract, though, right? As
Well,
far as
what-
payment and,
What I said in the last paragraph
That's
is
what I
that you would allow me to negotiate a fair and affordable fee arrangement with him and then bring it back to you with that fee arrangement.
okay.
Okay, for final approval.
Final approval.
All right.
That sounds good to me.
Do we have a
As long as it comes back
motion
to us.
for approval?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 18-01-30-53.
All right.
Yes.
Motion made, seconded. All
I
in favor?
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. All right. All right, there's two items on the table. Any board action on that?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion that we enter into executive session.
All right, there was a motion by Commissioner Bailey to move
Second.
into executive. A second by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Time is now 7:19. The board will be going into executive session.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion that we enter out of executive session back to the regular meeting.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bailey to come out of the executive session. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. We now return to the regular meeting. I'd like to say a few words to all the staff members here this evening. First, I realize that this meeting has gone on long. We very much, as a board, appreciate you attending this evening. The reason that we asked you here, just in conversations with HUD, and also based on the content of what our meetings do discuss, we thought it would be helpful to have staff and the accountant here at our meetings whenever possible. Should there be a question that could be better answered by a staff member who deals with a particular issue on a day-to-day basis. We'd like you to continue to attend our monthly board meeting. Hopefully, they will normally be about 30 minutes or so. But your input is valued, and whether we actually seek out that input at every meeting, that remains to be seen. But just your presence here is very much appreciated by us, and we also value your opinions. And the board is here. Should you ever have any questions or comments, and you'd like to reach out to us as well, you're invited to do so. So we very much thank you, and we hope that you will be back at future meetings as well. That being said, is there any discussion or motions from the board at this time? All right, what I'd like to do now is I would like to call for a vote of confidence or no confidence in our executive director. So what I'd like to do is do that by roll call. And I will start on my left with Mr. Woods.
At this point, I'm just going to say no. I just don't. I'm just not comfortable right now.
All right. Is that no confidence?
No confidence.
All right. And Mr. Bailey?
Mr. Chair, I would say no confidence.
All right. Mr. Bailey votes no confidence. My vote is no confidence. And Commissioner Champagne?
No confidence.
And Ms. Bellick?
So she's new.
You're the ex officio, so, but I just wanted, if you want to make a statement to the fact that you're the ex officio.
Yeah, I'm the ex officio, but I'm actually going to recuse myself from the vote due to the point that this is my very first meeting. I've just got assigned this position. So I'm going to leave it strictly up to you guys because this is my very first meeting.
I totally understand that. I appreciate you putting that on the record. Thank you. All right, seeing that it is a unanimous vote of the board members present for no confidence,
So-
is there any other discussion or motions from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion to relieve Mr. Benjamin Bell of his duties as Executive Director and relieve him from his monthly contract or any obligations or duties that are either implied or expressed, effective immediately.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Bailey. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Bell, we appreciate your service to this board. You are now relieved of your duties. What we'd like to ask at this time is that any keys that you have to the Housing Authority would be turned over.
Want me to do it tonight or in the morning?
Tonight, please, sir. And if you have any personal belongings or anything that you need to retrieve from that location, you can call me and I'll set up to meet you over there to get it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. That being said, are there any additional comments or discussion?
Lila, we're gonna put you in as program manager in charge. So all of the employees, so just keep the operations, running smoothly, day-to-day operations. Any of the employees, if you have any questions, concerns, you report to your program manager. In the meantime, Webb is going to be the interim. Any financials or things that need to be signed, please make sure they get to our chairperson / interim director for the time being.
All right, I know this is a lot for everybody to take in this evening. So again, I appreciate everyone being here this evening. And that being said, do any of the staff members have any questions or comments or anything?
Any concerns, anything?
Okay. All right.
All right.
Do we have a motion to
Chair, I'd
adjourn?
like to pass a motion to adjourn this meeting at 7:38.
All right, the time is now 7:38.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.